You ever have one of those moments where you're just sitting somewhere you love, somewhere that's yours, and someone walks up like they own the place and tells you to leave? Yeah, that happened to me. I was roasting a marshmallow by the lake on my own land when a cop walked up and said I had to pack up and go. I looked at him, looked at the lake I grew up fishing on, the land my granddad bought back when there wasn't even a road out here, and I thought, this has got to be a joke. But it wasn't. Name's Wes McKinley. I'm 44. Been running a custom cabinetry shop out of my family's ranch in Pine Creek, Wyoming, ever since my wife passed. It's just me. My daughter Grace, she's 17 and tough as nails, and our old hound dog, Boomer. We've got about 80 acres, pastures, a stretch of pine forest, and this beautiful, spring-fed lake right in the middle. Real peaceful. Or, it used to be. This all started when some fancy developers threw up a row of rustic luxury homes about a half-mile off my eastern fence line. They sold fast, and with them came the Northwood Meadow HOA. I'd heard of them. Sure, folks who like to tell other folks what color to paint their shutters and how often to mow. But I figured, what's that got to do with me? Turns out, everything. First, they sent a letter. We welcome you to the Northwood Meadow community. I tossed it. I wasn't part of any damn community. I was part of this land. Then came the fines. Failure to maintain your eastern fence line, $100 per day. Mind you, that fence had been standing longer than the HOA's office had existed. Then one afternoon, I found a sign nailed to my pine tree near the lake. Private property of Northwood Meadow HOA. No trespassing. That was when I knew they weren't just confused. They were planning something. The president of the HOA was a woman named Denise Rollins. Tall, sharp-talking, always in heels like she was about to give a TED talk on property values. Her sidekick, Brent, was a retired firefighter with a clipboard addiction. And then there was Terry, the community liaison. Think suburban hall monitor with a cell phone permanently glued to her hand. I ignored them until they stopped ignoring me. One Sunday, I took Grace down to the lake to camp, just like her mama and I used to do. We built a little fire, caught a couple bass, made s'mores, laughed under the stars. First time she really smiled in months. It felt like healing. Then morning came. Sirens. 2 cruisers rolled up by the tree line. The officer asked if I was the property owner. I said, been in my family 3 generations, officer. He nodded, real polite like, but said he got a call about trespassing. Behind him, there they were, Denise, Brent, and Terry. Denise had on her aviators and a smug grin that could curdle milk. This land falls under our recreational zoning now, she said, pointing to the new signs. I showed the officer my deed, which I always keep laminated in the glove box, learned that from my dad. He radioed it in, but said until it was sorted out, we had to leave. Grace sat in the tent, just staring. I felt her heart break a little right then, same as mine. I didn't argue. I packed up. But I made a promise to myself right there, standing on that gravel shoreline with my daughter behind me, that I wasn't letting this go. Next day, I walked into the county courthouse with a cup of black coffee and an attitude. The clerk, Miss Carla, sweet older gal who's been there since the Reagan years, pulled my plat map. Wes, your property's clean. No HOA jurisdiction. I nodded. Good. Then it's time we play hardball. I called up Josh, a buddy of mine from high school who now works as a property attorney in Cheyenne. He owed me one for helping remodel his kitchen last Christmas. Wes, he said, they did what now? By that evening, we had cease and desist letters printed, notarized, and delivered. But the HOA didn't back down. Instead, they doubled down. I got a certified letter 2 days later, notice of eviction, from my own land. I laughed, but Josh didn't. They're testing you. Pushing boundaries. We need to fight this in court. It got uglier fast. Boomer started barking like mad every morning near the back gate. One day, I found Brent out there with some surveying gear. When I asked what the hell he was doing, he said, verifying community access points. I told him if he stepped 1 inch further, he'd be verifying the taste of Wyoming soil. Meanwhile, Terry was walking around taking photos of everything, my barn, my truck, even Grace's tree swing. She said it was for compliance documentation. I said it was stalking. Then came the final straw. I got home one evening and found our canoe gone. The old green one with my wife's name carved in the side. We'd had that thing since before Grace was born. I knew, deep in my gut, they took it. But I had no proof, yet. Until Grace, bless her, found it. She'd been learning drone videography for a school project. She flew it out over the lake, just playing around, and caught footage of Brent and another man hauling the canoe to the far end of the water, where they were trying to set up some kind of shared recreation zone. They were building docks. On my lake. That was enough. Josh filed a full lawsuit: trespassing, harassment, defamation, attempted land seizure. Grace's drone footage was gold. And Carla, the county clerk, even signed an affidavit confirming the HOA had no legal right to the land. But Denise wasn't done. She held a community safety meeting on the HOA lawn, called me unstable, said I threatened neighbors and endangered local kids with illegal fires and aggressive dogs. Mind you, Boomer is 12 years old and afraid of the vacuum cleaner. One night, I found a letter in my mailbox, unmarked, no return address. Final warning: leave the lake or consequences escalate. It had a map attached, my land, but redrawn with new boundaries. Labeling the lake Northwood Rec Zone B. Josh was livid. This is fraud. Plain and simple. So we dug deeper. And then, we found it. Grace spotted a flicker out in the woods late one night, like a motion light. We investigated and found a hidden trail cam. On my tree. We pulled the card, and what we saw made my blood run cold. Weeks of footage. HOA members sneaking onto my property after dark, planting signs, moving equipment, even burying a box. We marked the spot, dug it up. Inside, forged documents, fake approvals. Maps with fake signatures, including mine. One even had a note in Brent's handwriting. Burn after use. Don't store at HQ. We turned it over to the sheriff's office and the county prosecutor. Charges were filed within days: fraud, conspiracy, criminal trespass. The media picked it up, thanks to a local reporter named Leah Cho. She came out, interviewed me and Grace, filmed the lake. The dig site, even the cut-down tree stump where my wife and I first carved our names. It exploded. HOA members from other neighborhoods came forward. Turns out, Northwood Meadow had a long history of shady tactics. People who'd been fined for garden gnomes or threatened over mailbox colors. The county suspended the HOA's charter. The sheriff's office locked their office doors. Denise was arrested, along with Brent and Terry. You want the cherry on top? Turns out, the HOA's office building wasn't theirs. It sat on land lease from a retired couple who'd never even signed off on it. The couple kicked them out, literally evicted the HOA. Just like they tried to evict me. Now, the lake is quiet again. Grace and I built a new dock together. Planted a tree in her mama's memory. Folks from town sometimes come by just to say thanks. We still get the odd look, the rare, anonymous letter. But we know who we are. We stood our ground. And we're not going anywhere. So let me ask you, have you ever been pushed by someone who thought power gave them the right to take what wasn't theirs? Have you ever been backed into a corner on your own land, in your own life? If you have, I want to hear about it. Drop your story in the comments. Tell me where you're from. Let's start talking about these HOA horror stories, because they don't just happen in movies. They happen to regular folks like you and me. And if you're still fighting, hold the line. Because sometimes justice takes the long way around, but when it arrives, it hits like thunder. Stay safe, stay grounded, and stay free.